Doop, 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 doop. Doop, 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 doop. The Philadelphia Manchester City Union. Can we say that? How about that week it was that we saw with the U? Not one, but 2 wins when we were a little bit skeptical, but they got the major 6 points, outscoring both NYCFC and DC United 9-1. Welcome, everyone. That's how we're going to start it today. Welcome, everyone, to PHLY Union Podcast. Of course, I'm one of your hosts, JP Zapata. Joined as always with the lovely Renee Washington. We actually have Andrew Frazier behind the glass, and we're back in the studio. Woo! Let's go. How's everyone feeling? We feel good, right?
Oh, man. Now you got me hyped with the intro, JT. Goals on goals on goals, dupes on dupes on dupes. The Union, my goodness. This team this is all what I love and also what I can't say about them, because you've had this the whole time. All this time, you've been struggling, and low-key, they have a big 3. Low-key, they have a great offense. Low-key, the defense is coming together. Like, it's all clicking. But what I will say is it's such a long season, and right now, you just have to focus on these last few regular season games. They're already in a good playoff spot. I know we're going to get into that today, too. But this team has you – not only are they winning, guys, they are kicking some butt.
Yeah, they are.
Open up a can of whoop behind. I can't curse on Roku. And so for them to have 9 goals, 1 goal against, this is two things we talked about, is needing to score goals and needing to get clean sheets, needing to get stops, needing to get great defensive play. It's all come together, and I'm getting a little bit irrational because I will say right now the Union, in my opinion, are a dangerous team going into playoffs.
Mm-hmm. Oh, without a doubt. Pure domination. I mean, come on, the last 2 games that you're just saying, 9 goals, absolutely insane.
Dude.
They're catching fire at the right time.
Yes.
They literally are. It's right at the end of the season.
Yes.
I mean, they are. This is great. This is going to be a jump starter for them to just go in there and just steamroll.
Dude, both matches. And this is like what I always say, like, we're literally in a toxic relationship with the Philadelphia Union, because like
fair.
1 minute we're so frustrated with them, they're hurting us. The next minute we're back in. You know, we're having these high hopes with the U. But that last week, I mean, we're obviously going to look at it deeper, but just the fact is you go into Yankee Stadium, which I don't think that notion is fully left. Like, remember, like there was 8 years where we struggled, or 6 years that we struggled in Yankee Stadium. And now you look at it back-to-back times that you've played at Yankee Stadium, you get big wins. And then on Wednesday, I mean, they absolutely steamrolled them. Mm-hmm. And then, like, look, Saturday you come back home against DC, and like, lately I don't know what to expect from DC United.
Yeah,
they had a weak back line, but to be able to put up 4, I mean, I don't care what club it is. Like, this is the MLS still.
Oh yeah,
be able to put up 4, and like, guys, it does feel a little bit like 2022. The attack is steamrolling a lot. Mm-hmm. Obviously, you need to put up more than 3 goals twice in 1 week. You mentioned it, Andrew. Like, we're at the end of the season.
Perfect time.
You know, in this in any sport, right? You want to get hot right before the playoffs.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and especially a team like Philly, who has that playoff pedigree. Nobody wants to play the Philadelphia Union in the playoffs.
Yeah.
So hopefully you get 4 more matches. You got to keep this up because you still don't have a playoff spot locked in, but you have to feel good after the last 2 weeks.
Well, definitely. The key is they're finally healthy.
Yes.
You know, we looked at this entire season. The beginning of the season, let's not forget, the Philadelphia Union were the last team to get a loss. Yeah. They had the longest undefeated streak, or unbeaten streak, and they had an incredible start to the season, but then we lost that because of the 10 winless games that they had, which just completely overtook and overshadowed all the greatness of the season and how it started. This team hit a rut because they had, between the international period and the overlap of missing key players to the actual injuries themselves, it took them time to reset. It was Andre Blake in and out of the lineup. It was your, international guys in and out of the lineup. Then you had Julian Carranza, who departs, and you have, even Jose Martinez and Damian Lowe. They've had so many things that have changed in the course of the summer, and it feels like now they're getting back to who they truly are. And this past weekend's game, Sunday's game, was the healthiest we've seen them.
Yeah.
That's everybody out there. That's your best lineup, so to speak. That's your depth. Of course, they've also added Sam and Danley, so you're also getting them now in a position where they're kind of feeling more comfortable, learning their teammates, learning their tendencies. And for this team to have 4 games in a row where they scored I think it was 9 is what I calculated. I guess 9 goals in the last 4 games that were scored in the opening 15 minutes.
That's good.
Of those, like in total
huge.
Combined.
It's really big.
You're talking about Inter Miami. You're talking about DC United.
Yeah, you're right.
Red Bulls. All 4 of those games, they scored in the first 15 minutes. You scored 3 goals in the first 15 against NYCFC, 2 goals against DC United, a goal against Inter Miami, 2 against Red Bulls. And for them to have, it's Mikel Ua, it's Ty Baribo, it's Danny Gazdag that have been the goal scorers. It's Quinn Sullivan that's been one of the big facilitators. This offense, this team in general, it's clicking. It's coming together at the right time. And you're not only putting together, remember there was a time also, like we look back on this long season, they were either giving up early goals or giving up late goals. We're now also seeing them put together full 90 minutes of games.
Definitely.
From the opening whistle, you're scoring 2-3 minutes in. That's Ua 4 games in a row that has gotten the first goal for the Union in the opening minutes of the game. So you're starting off hot, but then you're continuing that. And even with the letdown, you give up a goal against NYCFC, doesn't matter. The Inter Miami game is the only one that I still go back to, and I still actually feel like they should have won that game. Like I wholeheartedly believe that they let that one slip, and that was a frustrating one because you beat them. That's a major, major statement. It's a little bit easier to discredit DC United, NYCFC, and the Red Bulls. You can't discredit if they were able to knock off Inter Miami. But I think that is enough to be honest. Like we talked about, they're going to do enough that game's not going to matter, and they're going to be able to come back and still show in a bigger moment that they are a top team in the league. I think that game would have maybe even like winning against Inter Miami, who's tough to beat right now, might have kind of like messed them up in a sense of getting a bit too carried away. Versus you lose to them, you're still hungry. You still are,
definitely.
You still have more to prove. And I think they're going to prove it in a bigger spot than just a regular season game against Inter Miami. So I'm encouraged by this group.
Yeah, I was actually just about to say, when you're talking about Inter Miami and like them having the chance to win that game, I think it was a good ground check for them.
Yeah.
It's like a good punch. It's a good punch in the mouth because it's like, okay, we know that we have the talent to get there. We know we could have had something there, but it's also, we're still hungry. We keep that fight going. And it's been showing the last 2 games, obviously, with the flurry of goals that they've been having, and the greatest thing, like you said, Renee, is the fact that they get these early on goals and they don't just park the bus. They're not playing like Arsenal. They're playing like a real team that wants to continue the 90 minutes. We're going to win this game. We're going to fight. We're going to fight to the end. And it's a beautiful sight to see.
I've worked enough with Andrew. Anytime you can take a shot at Arsenal, he's going to take that shot.
Of course. Yeah.
I love that.
They play for draws.
Yeah.
I cannot.
I love that. No, but like Jim always says it too. Like the Union are always going to look for that early goal, and that's the whole mindset and the whole philosophy is getting that early goal, and that's when they're playing that Union style, and you see that intensity. And that's now I do think the DC match showed a little bit something extra, which we'll get to in just a second. But the Union always want to start like this. Renee brought up that great stat: last 4 matches, early goals,
8 goals tonight. By the way, my math was off.
But that's still great. That's still exactly what you want to see from the squad. And so they're definitely going to continue doing that. As we got BC checking in this week. Good week by the Galaxy.
I was going to say it was BC, our resident LA sports fan that's always tuned in, subscribed, hitting the thumbs up button, which we appreciate, and everybody else do the same. It is nice to see them put together full 90-minute games. And I have a couple things that are like jumping out at me, but I think one of the big things that I think we're also getting from this group is them leaning into their roles. Like a Quinn Sullivan is a great example. Quinn Sullivan is someone that at one point we were expecting to score goals for this team, and that's not him. I think he's more of the workhorse, making the runs, creating, and a facilitator. And I think he's now been able to set into his role as the guy that's going to get you assists and has 10 assists on the season. He does have 3 goals as well. So I do feel like we're getting them learning a little bit about their identity as a team, but also individually. is another great example. We've talked so much extensively about him. He had a little bit of a wake-up call when he was pulled out of the starting lineup, and Sam got to start ahead of him. Since then, he's scored a goal in pretty much every game that he's played in. And now for Ua, that's 10 goals in the season for him across the MLS. But 4 straight games that we've seen him score opening 15-minute goals. That's a testament to him getting the start, showing he should start. And I just feel like we're now getting them learning each other in a way that it's gelling. Ty Baribo needed time to get him settled in, of course. So I love the fact that it's September. We're in the final push towards the playoffs. And now the team feels like they're in a good, comfortable space of understanding movements, tendencies, but also their own individual, like, what do I bring to the table? And how do I consistently do that?
Yeah, everyone definitely has something they can contribute to. And, like, I think that the big part about the attack right now, and the big reason why, obviously, you saw those 2 wins and, you know, the stat that Renee brought up is the attack, obviously. But the big part about it is that you lose Carranza. And we all know the importance of holding Carranza. And it's so hard to duplicate. But Baribo has been able to fit in where he's able to kind of feed off of Gazdag and Ua. And, you know, we'll talk about Quinn in a second, but that's been the big part. Now, Baribo obviously is not the finisher that Carranza is, but because of the Union style, like, he doesn't need to be right now. And he's been in Ua and Baribo have both been at the right place at the right time, especially with all these goals that they have been able to score. But when we're moving forward, we always talk about there's going to be a time where it has to be someone else besides the big 3, especially when you're trying to get the ball to them. And as of late, it's been Quinn. And we talked about it early in the season. He has married himself to that position. And as that right flanker, like, there's times where it does look like kind of like a 4-3-3, because especially on Sunday's match against DC, the amount of times that Quinn was just going up high on that flank and feeding off of Harriel and Quinn, or just Quinn and Harriel feeding off of each other, I should say. That's a big part of this attack. And we always make the joke that the Union attack, the philosophy, it's not going to change much, right? It's been the same since 5 years, right?
Yeah.
But the marriage between the fullback and those shuttle midfielders is huge. Like, I go back to 2019, Brennan Aronson and Kai Wagner were a great partnership on that side. And it's so hard to break up that attack when they have that partnership working at a pristine rate. So Quinn has been really big, and that's going to be the big factor moving forward, especially in that attack.
Yeah, that's a great point, because we are getting more fluidity in their attack, where they're playing a lot more of a variety in personnel and how they're looking to get forward. It's not just flank services. It's not just set pieces. We're seeing the combination. I mean, how many goals have you seen now? Every goal is different. Sometimes it's a good defensive play that you force a turnover, Daniel Gazdag's goal, and you score. Sometimes it's getting end line, driving ball across the box, Quinn Sullivan assist to Mikel Ua. You know, it's been so many different goals that we've seen, and that in itself makes it tough to defend, because now it's also a mixture of having different ways of scoring, different players that are scoring, and also you're now so unpredictable. It's not just one player.
Yeah.
You know, you look at right now, Daniel Gazdag is tied for second across the league in goals scored on the season, which is awesome to see that he's sitting at 17 after his brace on Sunday. And we love that. There's a great group of guys that are in the mix that are tied for 17 goals in the season. But for the Union, it's not just him. As you mentioned, Ty Baribo now has 9 goals. Ua has 10 goals. And a lot of those goals have come after the summer period. You know, it's been lately that they've been scoring more goals. And we've talked about wanting to add more to their attack, and we're finally getting that from the Union. They're doing a much, much better job of mixing it up, adding in some more creativity. They're having fun, it looks like. The depth is there, and it looks like they're just freely playing soccer, free-flowing soccer, without having to overthink or just get caught very predictable. So I think that's something that I've just been enjoying the most. Is it looks like the team's just back to fun, good, dynamic soccer.
Yeah, absolutely. Real quick, I do want to look at, because I want to give some props to Jim and his coaching staff, because the tactics have been great. But let's real quick, let's pay the bills. Let's talk real quick about some Rite Aid, Renee.
Yeah, so starting things off, honestly, if it's that time of the year, it's cold and flu season, and so you do find yourselves dealing with the sniffles, the cold. I actually just was tweeting out the other day, like, this is the time, stock up on your medication, because 'tis the season for colds and flu, guys, and you can take advantage of getting ahead with Rite Aid. They've got the great support you need to be able to get in and get any vaccinations that you're looking for. With Rite Aid, they have the ability for you to have the option to walk in if you wanted to, or to be able to schedule as well. And Rite Aid has the chance, because of how flu viruses are, you don't want to miss. You don't want to have to worry about missing out on all the fun of fall sports. It's the holiday season. It's already started, in my opinion. Fall season's here. Fall decorations are up. And so according to the CDC, flu vaccination can actually help reduce a child's risk of severe life-threatening flu by 75%. So you can protect your family by getting a flu shot at Rite Aid today. And flu vaccines do not protect against COVID-19. There are COVID-19 vaccines specifically, but at Rite Aid, they have all that for you. And you can walk in today to your local Rite Aid, or you, of course, can schedule at riteaid.com. State, age, and health restrictions to apply, but ask your Rite Aid pharmacist for details. They can give you insight on any information you need, the age that you should be getting your kids vaccinated, the details on what you should be looking to get. They also have just all the support you need to help reassure your decision. If you decide to get a flu shot or a different vaccine, Rite Aid has all you need to make sure you don't have to miss the big games or big moments, but you and your family can be protected and be able to enjoy them with Rite Aid. So again, walk in, or you can schedule online at riteaid.com to get your flu vaccines today. And those state, age, and health restrictions do apply.
I love it. Listen, let's be transparent, all right? We're Union fans. We all know the one thing we always gripe about is those finances of the Union, right? Like, why are we spending more money on players? I hear it all the time, and we've been there. But listen, I know you yourself don't want to spend too much money, and I know you're looking for a better way to manage that money as well. So that's why we always recommend our friends over at TrueMark Financial, ladies and gentlemen. And right now, they're here to help us out. Because right now, if you get the TrueMark Financial's debit card, you can earn reward points. Every time you select credit instead of debit at checkout, you'll earn CU reward points. As points add up, you can redeem them for cash. That's pretty good. Travel, retail, gift cards, merchandise, and much, much more. You can even monitor your credit score with Savvy Money. That's really big. You need to always make sure you're monitoring that. It's so important these days. You want to buy a car, you want to buy a house, that credit score needs to be up. So with TrueMark Financial and their Savvy Money tools, you'll be able to monitor that yourself. Regularly check your credit score for financial awareness and error detection. Protect against identity theft by monitoring for unauthorized activities, and build financial stability by improving credit habits and maintaining a healthy credit score. TrueMark Financial is federally insured by the NCUA and is an equal opportunity lender. If you'd like some more information, or if you'd like to start your credit union career here today, one of two options. You can either visit TrueMark.com/PHLY. That's TrueMark.com/PHLY. Or we got 24 branches in the area for TrueMark Financial. You can stop in, ask your questions, and you can even start your credit union career there as well. So it's easy to manage your money with our friends over at TrueMark Financial. All right, so we got some more comments here. John Peace saying LA gonna lose to Messi like everyone else. That is funny. Renee, did you by chance see Messi was in the Big Apple this weekend?
Yeah, I did. They had a sellout crowd, like a record-setting crowd at the match.
So you know me very well. You know I don't know what I would call it this day and age, but we need to push back a little bit on this Messi stuff. So I don't usually do this.
How are you going to push back on this, JP?
I don't usually do this, but I have to give a round of applause to the NYCFC fans. Because our friends over at NYCFC City Boys, they put it out on their podcast this week, what the NYCFC fans were doing to Messi. We got that, Frazier? Here we go. It's our boy Javier.
FC just laid the blueprint for shutting down the Messi circus. It started the moment Miami bus arrived at Yankee Stadium.
I feel like I'm in Argentina.
NYCFC supporters made it clear this isn't some red carpet event for Messi and Suarez. River Avenue, that's hostile territory.
There you go.
This is exactly how it should be done. While Messi might see MLS as his retirement league, for the fans, this club represents blood, sweat, and tears every single day. And just before kickoff, NYCFC fans dropped the perfect tifo.
Look at that.
Read,
Look at that tifo.
Don't feed plastic. Messi sold separately. Support your local club. A direct shot at
all right. We can stop it there, but I love that. All right, and listen, I get it. Everyone loves Messi, but we're past the year mark. All right, we can make hostile environments for Messi in Miami.
Oh yeah, you should be able to do that.
Listen, Messi is one of the greatest athletes of all time.
No denying that.
And to have him in the league and being able to watch him in our own backyards, not having to just watch him on TV, it's very special. I do love the fact that, first of all, Messi can attract a large crowd anywhere he goes. The crowd doesn't have to be cheering and fawning over Messi. So I do respect the fact that they weren't just like, Messi's here and bowing down to him. But it's fun. Like, talk some trash the same way you would do if it was Tom Brady, if it was Shohei Ohtani, if it was LeBron James. I don't know why there's this obsession. You can respect the greatness and still boo him. you can respect the greatness and still have take jabs and talk trash. So I appreciate this because you don't need to have. I think it is weird when he shows up to any MLS team and the fans are like, suddenly forget your team. You're going to wear Messi jerseys and you're going to be cheering for Messi. That's bandwagon. That's weird. I'm a Messi fan myself. I will always admit that I've always been a Messi fan. Whatever team he was on, I was a fan of. But if he's playing against the Union, I'm not going to be like, oh, Messi, I love you. Exactly. You can't do that. So I respect that. And I think it's good for the game and good for the league to be okay with, you can respect his greatness and you can still boo him. There's not a problem with that. Every top player gets booed when they're on the road. Messi gets these flowers thrown at his feet as he walks. We don't need all that. So I respect it. I know you are also anti rah-rah Messi, but I do think the league actually needs more of this. Let's keep doing this for everybody that shows up. Any team that shows up to your stadium, meet them in the parking lot and make sure they know that you're there.
Yeah.
Bam. Give them a nice warm welcome every time. I don't care if it's the Columbus Crew. I don't care who it is. When they show up, you meet them in the parking lot, you check their buses, and let them know you're in some hostile territory.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, it's great for sporting. It creates rivalries. It creates an atmosphere that's fun. People want to get a part of. And, yeah, I do understand the whole Messi thing. It is great for the MLS to have him here and to, he is the GOAT, whether you say he or, Ronaldo are, he is the GOAT. Mm-hmm. And, but the thing is that irks me. And I was actually just back at my, my parents' hometown and
you saw Messi jerseys.
I can't tell you how many times I had to be 4 or 5 times I saw a Messi jersey.
That's what I'm saying, dude.
In Doylestown, Pennsylvania. I mean, come on. That's the one thing. Is there are other teams, especially there is one in Philadelphia. You could wear those jerseys. Just saying.
The Messi's jersey sitting right next to their Jalen Hurts jersey, dude. That's the crazy part about it as well.
Of course.
And listen, going to your other beat, Shohei Ohtani. I'm feeling Dodgers and Phillies for the NLCS. Shohei Ohtani's in here. I respect that guy to the utmost. But I'm booing him. I'm saying screw you,
yeah.
Jo. It's part of just the fandom. It's just part of the sport that we love. And
that's weird.
And the thing is, and on a serious note, I do like the fact that Messi's bringing some new eyeballs to our league.
Yeah, it's great.
But now we need to figure out how do we turn those eyeballs into NYCFC, Red Bull, Union, RSL, whatever it may be. We can't just have this whole nationwide Messi fans, because the problem is when Messi leaves.
Yeah, then what? Who are you going to cheer for?
Yeah. So we need to find a way to convert those fans.
Maybe don't play in a baseball stadium.
Yeah, that'll help. Playing on actual. I mean, they do have the cube that they're building or whatever the monstrosity.
The
yeah,
the cube.
That's what it looks like. It looks like something from the Transformers when they have the cube that's hidden.
Yeah, what is it, the Tesseract or something?
It literally looks like that.
It's Marvel.
The cube. It's massive. So whenever they build that huge thing, I guess then they'll be done playing at Yankee Stadium. But
it's
I agree.
horrendous looking, by the way. Watching that game when the Union were playing there.
I know.
Yeah,
it's gross. It's so gross. So I do feel like it's time to make sure you're convert these fans. Keep them here. Don't have them just be Messi fans, because when Messi retires, when Messi leaves, then what? BC's saying Galaxy getting Neymar. Oh boy. And as Kyle was mentioning, they have swimmers on their team that will wear Messi kits and Union hats or vice versa.
But I trust them because I know they're educating over there. I know Kyle and Jillian are educating over there.
I think it's okay to be a fan of both. I always use the example. I have no problem admitting I'm a diehard LeBron James fan. And I'm also a Sixers fan.
But if you're going to Sixers, Lakers.
I'm not wearing a LeBron James jersey.
Yeah.
Do
you have one?
I do. I definitely have jerseys. But I know how to separate the two. I'm not going to go, I have been to LeBron's games versus the Sixers. It does tear me up a little bit. But I'm cheering for the team. I'm just there as a fan. I'm not going to be there maybe I was a little bit. But
LeBron jerseys for the cute fit.
Now I'm actually contradicting myself, because to be honest, when I did go to that game, I was a little bit torn. But I wasn't fangirling. There's a difference. I was just appreciating the game. She's
applauding low.
I was like,
yeah, no, she
but
definitely
I wasn't. Because now that I think about it, I was cheering for LeBron, but I was cheering for both. I wasn't out there kind of like, oh my gosh, LeBron, you're amazing. Like, I think there's levels to even how you appreciate the game. It's just, I don't like this whole fandom of like, everywhere he goes, suddenly the crowd has a huge boost. Suddenly everybody is like an MLS fan. No, keep it real. Be honest. Just be yourself. But we did get some exciting news on the Union front. There's a lot of exciting things happening between the Union and the Union 2. We'll get to the Union 2 later. Our own Quinn Sullivan and Daniel Gazdag. Danny Gazdag, who is one of the highest jersey sales across the league.
Should be higher.
Messi. Just kidding, Messi. They were recognized as two of the guys on the team of the match day for match day 34. Well deserved because those two have played such a big part. I know John P was saying in the chat how Quinn is cooking. Yeah, those two have been such a big part of this offensive boost that we've seen. I know we talked about the big three that's emerging with the big three scores, but Quinn Sullivan is a big part of that too. That's the third team of the match day appearance for Daniel Gazdag this season. He, of course, had that brace on Sunday. And then also, he now has been fantastic as we talk about all the records. We've seen them that he's been making. For Quinn Sullivan on the other side, he actually became the first Union homegrown in club history to reach double-digit assists as he got assist number 10 to Uwa in the 13th minute. So that's 20 years old, making some history there.
Love it.
And well-deserved to be on the match day list because both of them had a huge part of this team. And Quinn's one that you probably, because assists don't get as much love as the goal scorer, can easily slip through the cracks. But to be honest, you look at the passes that he's making to Uwa, to Baribo, even once they don't score, I think he's such a big part of this team.
Yeah.
And we've talked about him. At times, he's been the best player on the field for them. Yeah. He's been the most consistent. He's been the most aggressive. Yeah, the runs that he makes. And I think now, because of the confidence, like Quinn Sullivan's doing what Quinn Sullivan's been doing all season. The difference is, A, Ty Baribo's on the field. Mm-hmm. B, Uwa is playing with way more confidence, finding the ball, making more runs. And then Gazdag, I think, is now in a spot where he doesn't feel the pressure of having to lead the offense.
That's a good point.
He can pick and choose his moments. Sometimes he's making runs. Sometimes he's checking. Sometimes he's taking shots from distance. Sometimes he's the highest player and he's pressing. So I think it's even giving him the ability to just roam, what you want your 10 to do. Just roam, find the ball, make an impact, make a big play. But it's Quinn Sullivan that's really behind it all. That's like the general that's making the runs and helping to he's setting them up. Yeah. He's setting them up to simplify the game for the forwards. It's coming together nicely.
Oh, yeah. And then there's a term in sports, right? Like being in the zone when a player's in the zone. When I watched Quinn Sunday, like it looked like he was in the zone. Like he looked possessed. The first goal, I mean, the dude's like pretty much split two defenders. Mm-hmm. I know he got that lucky bounce and he just uses effort to get the ball back. But throughout that entire match, the guy looked possessed. And that's the big part about it. I mean, we know what Gazdag, Uwa, and now Baribo can do. But having Quinn being like that secondary piece to either assist or score or create chances on his own, it's going to be a big part of this. All right. And like, on the other side, the shuttle midfielder, like, since Jose's left, like I don't know what to think of like the 6 in the left shuttle midfield position. Personally, I think Leon should still be interchanged in the left shuttle midfielder. I personally like Jesus more than Leon. Something against Leon. I just like Jesus better at that 6 role. But being able to kind of interchange those shuttle midfielders, I think it's such a big part. And Gazdag, your point on Gazdag, spot on, because it does feel like a little bit of the weight is off his shoulder. Yeah. He could just go freely. Like, look at that second goal. I mean, him being able to just, sneak by and find that rebound and put that goal in a tough angle, right? Mm-hmm. That was such a nice goal as well. And real quick, I just want to give a shout out to just like the tactics, especially like in the first match against NYCFC. We talked about it before. Hated the fact that Harriel was starting at center back. I thought that was a bad move. I don't like him playing at center back. I know he's the best 1v1 defender, but there's a size mismatch there. Mm-hmm. But the game plan was perfect. And it was simply just getting the ball deep. How many long balls did you see in that first half against NYCFC? And the Union were able to test that back line of NYC, which is not strong at all, which we talked about. And I thought that game plan was perfect. And I was wondering like why like Jim would just say like, yeah, Nate is starting in the press conferences. Jim never just says like, yes, injury. When injuries are happening, he's not telling you who that replacement piece is. but it's because he had that game plan in the back of his head. I thought that was spectacular. And Sunday, I don't really think there wasn't necessarily crazy tactics, but one thing to note, and we always talk about how the Union love to have that lead and play a little defense and play that intensity. And sometimes that usually leads to more goals, but they need that lead. But like, Renee, they won the possession battle against DC. That's something that they don't usually do. And we've talked about it. There are times where you're going to need to possess the ball. And you saw how they were able to do that on Sunday. So, I mean, there's a reason why we're a little amped up heading in with 4 matches left, because you're starting to see some things that can lead to some successful times in the playoffs. But we shall see. But there was a lot of good things in the last week.
There were, and I do want to get on the defensive discussion in a moment. But first, to your point about just actually, I want to make a point about Gabe in the chat, Gabe11, saying how crazy it is that Baribo, with a goal and assist, was snubbed from even an MLS 11 bench appearance. Yeah, it is crazy that Baribo has been so great and hasn't been, we haven't even seen a full season of Ty Baribo. And I think a big part of what's helped this team, you talk about the possession, is there were so many things that we got to a point of just saying, that's okay. It's okay. They're just not a possession-oriented team. They're just not a team that can score in the run of play. Daniel Gazdag just can only score on penalty kicks. Like, we just got to a point of justifying things. And no, in soccer, that's not okay, actually. You cannot go out for 90-plus minutes and get out-possessed and expect you're going to win games.
Right.
You cannot go out for 90-plus minutes and just wait until you get that one corner kick or that one set piece to win games. It cannot be just a penalty kick that you have to draw to get Daniel Gazdag to score goals. So I think some of the things that we began to just accept and just say, oh, that's just who they are, have now been challenged and have now changed to them going out and why not possess? Because if you have the ball at your feet, you're not chasing. You get to dictate the tempo of the game. You get to dictate your shape and get organized. And then it also alleviates the pressure off your team defensively if you don't have to spend the entire game scrambling to try to make big stops, make big plays. And then instead of just waiting for, we'll get out in transition. That's our attack. We'll sit back, defend, and then get some good chance in transition. That's exhausting. Yeah. You can't play like that. That's not good soccer. And so I think they're also elevating as a team and how their brand of soccer is and their identity is. They've always had the defensive strength, but now they're able to alleviate some of that pressure off of their team, from Andre Blake forward, for whoever's in goal forward, to now be a possession-oriented, goal-scoring, winning team.
Yeah. And the reason why we bring it up is because, like, the Union's philosophies, like, it's so blatant. Like, we all know it. Like, even the opponent knows it, right? But there are going to be times where you're going to be down, right? And you need to find a way to get goals. And obviously, having a killer would be nice, right? Like, having like a Raul Diaz in his prime would be awesome. A Josef Martinez in his prime would be awesome. But I don't necessarily know that we really have that yet. We would like to think that either Ua, Baribo, and Gazdag can kind of hone that. But let's be realistic here. So when you're in those situations, having an attack that can possess the ball and move the ball up with numbers, that is going to be a key here. And so there are going to be some teams in the playoffs. I mean, you look at Cincinnati, you look at the Red Bull. Those are some type of teams that you could run into those type of situations. So being able to possess the ball will be big. And then to Gabe 11's point, Sam Surridge was the striker that made the All-11. He had 2 goals against a Cincinnati squad in a 2-2 draw. So he had himself a pretty good match. So I can't really blame the MLS for putting him over Baribo.
I guess so. I know he's also saying how DC is one of the worst possession teams across the league. It doesn't matter because, unfortunately, the Union have been one of the worst possession teams across the leagues themselves. So you got to take the small wins where you can get it. They're doing a better job of honing in on their possession and being more patient and composed in their buildup as a team, getting numbers forward. And so regardless if it's DC United, who was ahead of them in standings, or somebody else, you got to take what you can get.
I mean, Renee, look at their formation. They ran in a 5-4-1. I mean, typically when I see that formation, I'm thinking a team's about to park the damn bus, right? And so, and that's a thin back line as well. And that's what I'm saying. Like, the Union saw that and they just attacked, especially on that right side with Nate and Quinn Sullivan. It was really a great job. And yeah, DC, I mean, and the thing is too, like, their attack, you look at their attack, it's literally just Christian Benteke.
Yeah.
The dude's got 19 goals. The second leading goal scorer for DC is Periani with 4 goals. So, like, you know what DC's trying to do on any given match there. But, again, despite that, the Union did a great job. And defense has been big as well on Sunday. If you watch them, especially in that first 30 or so minutes, there was someone constantly watching Christian Benteke because you knew that's the only thing that they can do. And they knocked it out the park with that game plan.
Definitely. And I'm excited for that. I love the fact that they're actually executing well and doing a good job of consistently the last few games we've seen an uptick in how they've been able to play, their style of play, and it's translating into some big wins. I know we'll get into the playoff picture and, again, Union 2 stuff and defensively, some other areas, but it is encouraging to see just the direction that things are going for them.
Yeah, absolutely. It's getting a little warm in here, Renee. I don't think it's the Union play either. I think it might be time to chill, ladies and gentlemen, all right, with our friends over at Coors Light, all right? Because, look, it's getting to be in playoff time, all right? I know everyone's excited for Red October, but what about a Blue October? No one ever talks about that. Maybe, possibly, we'll see. But, ladies and gentlemen, when the Union are pissing you off, which right now they're obviously not, when your Philly sports team are making you upset, when that signing didn't happen, you got to chill. And there's only one way to chill, and it's with our friends over at Coors Light. All right, because Coors Light, when the mountains turn blue, it's as cold as the Rockies. Coors Light is cold lagered, cold filtered, and cold packaged for that much smoother finish. When you embrace a chill mindset, it's a good time to choose chill and crack open a Coors Light. Coors Light is mountain cold refreshment, crisp and refreshing as the Colorado Rockies. Last night, I was at the ballpark. I was at Citizens Bank Park for the Phillies to clinch the NL East. So I was a little bit nervous. I'm not going to lie to you guys because, look, I've never been to a monumental baseball game like that. I've never seen the Phillies clinch anything at CBP while I'm live there. So I was a little nervous. So I cracked open that Coors Light, and that moment I chilled, and look what happened. Boom. They won, and they won the NL East. It was awesome. Make the most out of your times. You choose to chill. Choose Coors Light. Best part about it, right now, you can get Coors Light delivered to your front step. You don't have to go to the beer store, all right? By using CoorsLight.com/PHLY soccer, you can get delivered to your front door with Instacart. It's awesome, all right? So make sure you guys are celebrating responsibly. Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado, and thank you to our friends over at Coors Light.
Yeah, you talk about the Phillies. We saw the Coors Light flowing in the clubhouse after as they were pouring it all over the place, then sliding around on the floor. And you know what? It had me thinking they probably are going to need some new floors after this. How do you clean that floor? The best way to clean it might be to just buy a new one altogether. Let's say you were looking to buy a new carpet or hardwoods or linoleum or tiles or whatever it is you're looking to change. With our friends over at Empire Today, they have your back with some great opportunities because Empire Today allows you to shop at home conveniently. That's one of the big perks. They have their virtual floor designer, which lets you take a picture of the room and see how that floor is going to look in your space. So now you have a better idea. How does this floor match my walls, my backsplash, my furniture, the lighting? You just get a better idea without even having to leave the comforts of your home. And in addition to the virtual floor designer, over at Empire Today, they also have the great support because it can be overwhelming. There are thousands of floor samples to choose from in Empire, and that's a lot, especially when you are trying to figure out, okay, in the course of a hardwood floor, there's all these different types depending on the size of the lines and the hues and the colors and the textures and things. So with Empire Today, they just help simplify the process by giving you great customer support and advice to make sure they can help steer you in the right direction because they don't want you to feel overwhelmed. They don't want you to feel like this process is stressful. It should be fun figuring out which new floors you want for your home. And their philosophy is to help you find what you need, not to overwhelm you with their thousands of choices and substitutes. So they want to make sure that they are capitalizing on giving you the best options, but then also in addition to finding the right product for your needs, quick and professional installation, as well as a price match guarantee. We love that. We love the ability to be able to find great products, quick and easy installation, professional installation, and a price match guarantee as well. So today, as you are tuned into the show, we have some great deals for you. You can first schedule a free in-home estimate today, and all listeners can receive $350 off when you use the promo code PHLY. Restrictions do apply, but head on over to empiretoday.com/PHLY for more details. Again, that's $350 off plus a free in-home estimate when you head over to empiretoday.com/PHLY.
Empire
Today.
I love it. So we actually got a time bomb in the works right now. As of 10 minutes ago, Tom Bogart just actually tweeted about our opponent this upcoming weekend. Looks like Patrick Vieira, if you guys remember, had 2.5 years with NYCFC. He is one of the finalists for the Atlanta United management job. And that'd be interesting. I've always liked Patrick Vieira. He just got done with a stint with Strasbourg. He did spend 3 years in the Premier League with Crystal Palace, which, it wasn't great finishes. But the Premier League is always tough. But that'll be interesting. I think that'd be a good hire for Atlanta United if they do get that done. But we'll keep an eye on that one.
Interesting.
Tom bombs.
There you go. Very interesting. We'll see what happens with that one. But I do want to hit on the Union defensively because I do feel like that's an area that we've talked so much about, the need for backup goalkeepers, the need for more depth on the back line, the need for another center back, all these question marks we have. First of all, it alleviates all those questions, and a short-term answer is just go out, score more goals, put teams away early. You go up 2-0, 3-0 early. It does take a lot of the pressure off the defense because the Union still have a great back line, but you don't want to make them have to, again, chase for 90 minutes or be in a situation where they are, feeling the stress and the wear because there are 5 guys for the back line, essentially. So we know Kai Wagner did come into the match this past weekend, tied with Sebastian Letou for the club's all-time lead in assists across MLS play with 50.
That's crazy.
And he tied that record during the NYCFC match. So him, and then you had Nathan Harriel, who was making his 80th appearance for the season. They've logged a lot of minutes. Jakob Glesnes has his 146 games under his belt for him. It's been a lot of games that they've played. I think it was, 146th regular season appearance for the Union that he made against DC United. So for these guys that have logged a lot, then on top of that, you have a red card suspension for Jack Elliott. Or yellow card accumulation. You have Andre Blake injuries in and out of the lineup this season. Honestly, I think the best way this team has supported their backs is to do what they did the last few games. In Miami, the difference was they did not support their defense enough. They did not do a good enough job defensively as a unit. It's not just their back 5. It's not just the goalie and the back 4. It's everybody all the way through. And you've been seeing a better job by them as a team to not only set the tone early offensively, but to set the tone defensively as well.
Yeah.
The high pressing, their high pressing literally led to goals.
Yeah.
The high pressure that they've been bringing, the organization they've been bringing, it's starting with their forward line. And I think that now as Ty Baribo and Mikel Ua and even Sam, Dan Lee, Ali, Quinn, Danny, Gazdag, everybody all the way through, as they're feeling the success offensively, I think it is translating on the defensive side that they're not shutting off. As soon as they lose it, they're working to hunt the ball. They're locking their opponents in to win it right back. And they're not even allowing the ball to get around the goal, which is just a great way to help alleviate your keeper. We got Andre Blake back on Sunday after missing against NYCFC. And he obviously did his thing, the usual brick wall. He's always going to make the big saves, but we don't need to see him as much. Let's make it less saves, less times the ball's around the goal. So I also have been enjoying that switch for the team as well.
Yeah, obviously, listen, you're going to need Andre Blake to make those big saves every now and then. That Kilic save in the first 10 minutes of the match, that was a great one. And I think that was a good turning point. And Union went on to score 2 goals right after that. But the back line has been okay. But you talked about it, like the attack and just how relentless they've been. It's just been a chain reaction throughout the whole entire squad. And it's funny because, last Tuesday we had our show. And, one point we did bring up was the fact that we do need to start thinking about goalkeeper depth. And then, Renee, Wednesday night, we play NYCFC, and Andrew Rick gives us the best goalie performance that we've seen that's not Andre Blake as a backup goalie since probably Matt Freese. And it was cool to see. He had a save that was on SportsCenter's top 10.
He made a SportsCenter top 10 save.
And I commend them because it's not easy being in and out the lineup. You have to replace the best goalie of Union's history, one of the best of all time in the league. And he goes in there in Yankee Stadium. He has himself a great match. And I thought that was a big part of it too. And then Sunday, like I talked about, Blake made some big saves. And that was a big reason why they were able to get the dub. But obviously, like going into the playoffs, you need this attack to play at the level that they're at. But I mean, right, like there might be a match where, yeah, like, I mean, what if you go up against Miami again? What if you go up against the Crew? You know how the Crew want to play. The Crew are going to want to attack the ball constantly. So you're gonna need Andre, and you're gonna need that back line to play at a tip top level. I would like to see Gazdag and Elliott kind of get back to that 2022 form. I really haven't seen that yet. Not that they've played bad, right? But like, if you guys look back to 2022, they were dominating. Like they were bullying front lines. So that's something that I definitely would like to see them get back to. But you know, the Union style, it's the first emphasis is always defense, and that will never change. And hopefully they can continue doing that.
Yeah, I mean, the Union are sitting in a spot now defensively with the 47 goals they've given up in regular season play. They're actually, ironically, tied for 4th in clean sheets with 8 shutouts for the season. That's been something that has been a detriment, that they've given up a lot of goals late, especially. So they're slowly, listen, I still think bigger picture long term, they do still need to figure out things defensively also. But I think for the short term, with their offense playing so well, you can make it a shootout for a number of games, try to outscore teams. That's not a long-term solution at all, because that's not practical either. But it does work for now as we're looking at playoffs of being a dangerous team that can score early and score often.
I love it. Gabe Levin letting us know Atlanta is 22nd in the MLS for goals scored per match, 1.3. Clean sheet incoming. I mean, listen, you better knock on wood, Gabe 11. You better knock on that wood. No, I mean, obviously they lost Jakob Marcus, who went over to Liga MX, which was a big blow. But obviously when Cruz Azul's offering that money, you're not going to say no to that. Yeah. It was like a north of $10 million, which is insane for a transfer fee, especially for an MLS player. But yeah, obviously like that's a tough replacement. Like, how do you replace such good production there? But I fully agree with you. Like this one, like, so the last 4 matches, you got Atlanta, Orlando, Columbus, and Cincinnati. These next 2, I do feel confident about. In Orlando's another team that's kind of caught a lot of fire as of late. The Cincinnati and Columbus ones is going to be interesting, because I wonder where everyone's going to be in about a week or 2. If those 2 matches will be as important for Columbus and Cincinnati. Obviously, we still need to get ourselves into a playoff spot. But obviously, look, after this past week, we got ourselves in a playoff spot. Tied with Toronto, 36 points in 8th spot. We're in that play-in game. But if we want to get into a more secure spot, Charlotte and NYCFC at 6 and 7 have 41 points themselves. And obviously, like I mentioned, you're going to be going up against Orlando, who is right above them with 43.
Yeah, so the beautiful thing is that you can kind of write your own script here with your opponents the last 4 weeks.
Control your fate.
And they're all in playoff contention. So, you know, those points are going to be huge. And going back to your point about the defense, to be able to alleviate the defense in some degree, and they're going to it's going to be a tough road for them to get these points to finish off the year. So to help them getting this attack going and stuff like that, it's going to help them in the long run, because your playoffs essentially start this week. I know your opponents might not be playing up to you like we're saying, but you know they do start this week, because you got to fight to get yourself into a position. You got to stay in that position, and then you got to get in. Once you're in, you're fighting. You're fighting through the playoffs. So it's going to be a lot on these guys physically and mentally the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, right now the Union are tied with Toronto. Toronto does have the slight edge, which has them in 8th, and tiebreakers. It is very close. This race to decision day on October 19th is down to the wire. And with having 4 opponents that are all ahead of you in seeding, as we've talked about before, another chance. And they did this with DC United. DC United is now sitting at number 13. That's because of the loss. You know, they are now 8 and 9, which is right behind the Union at 9 and 9. Atlanta actually did drop, I should say, because they also have an 8 and 9 record. So for the Union to be able to play teams 3 out of 4 that are sitting in a position currently ahead of you, but even Atlanta United is just 3 points behind the Union. So this game, this upcoming Saturday, is huge. This instantly swings things if you lose to Atlanta United. So this is the point. You're table watching, you're watching on the results, but the important thing is sitting at 9th currently. If the Union can just win out, you have a very winnable 4 games with Atlanta, Orlando, Columbus, and Cincinnati. Difficult, yes, but possible. It's doable. And so I think if the Union can go in this stretch and win at least 3 of these games, to me, if you were to drop one, I would rather lose to Cincinnati or Columbus because they are sitting with 56 points locked in to the playoffs as one of the top spots in the East. You cannot lose to Atlanta. You cannot lose to Orlando. Those are the 2 teams that you have to beat, in my opinion. And then if you can steal one from the other 2 or even get 2 draws, like you just have to come out of this, I think, with 8 or 9 points should be enough. Sitting at 36 right now, you get 8 or 9 points, which puts you around 44, 45. Currently, 44 is 4th place.
Yeah.
Of course, everybody still has games left themselves, so those points will change. But I think that the top group of the trio of Inter Miami, Columbus, and Cincinnati, which are about 20 points ahead of the Union, they're kind of out of reach for a lot of teams.
Yeah.
It's that next group from the Red Bulls at 4 all the way honestly to the bottom, because even Chicago and New England at 28, 29, they're not fully out of it yet. So from 4th place on is a battle for who's going to get those final playoff spots and seeding. So I think at least 2 wins, if not, ideally, of course, you win them all. But at least 2 wins, I think, should do enough for the Union to be able to squeeze in to a playoff spot. Not a play-in spot, a playoff spot.
Oh, yeah. I mean, realistically, they could be 6th.
They can.
By the end of these 4 weeks, they could be sitting in that 6th spot. Yeah, that's definitely doable.
And a lot of these teams play each other.
Yeah.
This is the time you're getting a lot of like Eastern Conference matchups. So someone's walking away with 0 points on the day. The Union just cannot be that. I think every game you've got to get at least a point if you can. Ideally, you go unbeaten in these next 4 games, whether that's 4-0, 3 and a tie, whatever it is. But you need at least 2 wins. 2 wins, and you're in a good spot.
Well, I'm just saying this because I think it's realistic. But if the Union get 10 points out of their last 4 matches,
10 is even better.
Nobody wants to play this team. Nobody wants to play the Philadelphia in the playoffs, especially going into the playoffs with that type of streak. Oh, my God. I do want to call out one player. And it's hard for me to call him out because I love him. I love his family. I think they're phenomenal. But I need Jack McGlynn to play with like a grown adult because he's an adult now. I saw some timidness in the match on Sunday. And I know Jack can do more than that. I know what Jack brings to the table, and I think he's extremely important for this playoff run we're trying to go on. But I need him to play more physical. I need him to be more animated. Get pissed off. I don't know what drives him, but play a little pissed off. Like you saw Quinn. I talked about Quinn and being in the zone. I need Jack to be a little bit more like that. It hurts me to say because I love the kid, but we need more from him.
No, it's fine to be critical because the other side of this is everything's not perfect with the Union right now. Like their defense does still scare me. And I do agree with you on a player like Jack McGlynn, you do need more from. And I wonder if any part of this is not an excuse because it's not acceptable, is Jack McGlynn's been subbed out a little bit more. Obviously, like Danley comes in for him. He's also been he went from being one of your best midfielders, and he still is one of the best, but he's not as impactful right now as like a Quinn. And obviously Gazdag is always going to be the best offensively. But I don't know if he's kind of getting lost in the sauce. You know, all this excitement that's going on offensively, I'm not sure if Jack McGlynn is just struggling to find his way and figuring out how do I be able to help get us assists, help get us goals, and maybe even feeling some pressure. You know, you look at Quinn, who's his homegrown buddy.
Possibly,
who's doing phenomenal. We just talked about him making some history of having the first homegrown player to get double-digit assists. Ty, Ua, and Gazdag are obviously doing them all scoring. And then there's Jack McGlynn. Like, you're not a role player like an Ali Bedoya might be, but right now you're not showing us that you're a top player offensively in terms of production. So I hope that he'll be able to work through that because I do feel like the hesitancies and the timidness are maybe him in his own head of trying to do too much. Yeah. Just let the game come to you, play hard, win 50-50 balls, make a good pass, make a good play.
Obviously, like, again, we don't know what goes on in the player's head, but, like, you know, obviously Jack's one of those guys who's gone, you know, especially after the Olympics, got a lot of rumors to European clubs. So you wonder if that also got in his head. But, like, in those type of situations, especially what I see from Jack, I just think he needs to simplify things and just focus on just your work rate, right? Like, I'm not saying like he's a lazy player, but like go out there, play like, you know, your head's on fire. I just think we need to see some more energy from Jack McGlynn. Like, you know, just silly turnovers that it's just like, what are you doing, right? And like, you know, there was one instance, like, it was on like Union had numbers going forward, and he's just so timid going in the box, and here comes a defender from behind poking the ball away. That can't happen.
Playing a little bit cute at times too, and trying to play pretty. Whereas like Quinn, who didn't go to the Olympics, is showing why he possibly should have. He's just going out playing hard. Like, we don't need perfect plays from Jack McGlynn. We need him to play hard. We need him to just be creative, have fun with it, and just win his individual battles. The team right now is in a really good spot. I think if you can get more out of somebody like Jack McGlynn, that's only going to help take them to that next step, especially with these 4 games that we're talking about, them needing to come out victorious in 2 or 3 of them, So I agree with you. I do think it'll be a good opportunity for Jack, hopefully in these final regular season games, getting into the playoffs, knock on wood, that he'll be great. There is a team that doesn't have to knock on wood because they are headed to the playoffs. That's for the MLS Next Pro playoffs. The Union 2, one of the youngest groups across the MLS Next Pro, actually had a huge comeback game. They were down 4-3. They won 4-3, excuse me. They were down 2-1. Marcus Anderson, our buddy, we haven't seen in a while, got in the opening goal for the Union 2 11 minutes in. CJ only got the assist, but then NYCFC 2 scored a pair of goals, and then it became a third goal, and now the Union 2 were down 3-1. And then they had a comeback. After giving up 3 first-half goals, the Union 2 were able to come back. They tied things up, and then it was Quinn Sullivan, whose free kick found Frankie Westfield, and they were able to score a goal in the 64th minute to send the Union 2 to their 3rd consecutive trip to the postseason.
Let's go.
And they also have the potential, or they will be, I should say, hosting a playoff match for the first time in history since they are a top 4 seed. And so luckily for them, Marlon LeBlanc, the head coach, was able to also include 7 players from the MLS contracts, including Andrew Rick. After having a 7-save performance against NYCFC, got to play against NYCFC 2.
Look at that.
And so I think even that part was great, that you had a chance. It was Neil Pierre all the way through Macania. It was CJ Only, Quinn Sullivan, David Vasquez, Nick Periano, Andrew Rick, that all got a chance to play against the or in that big match for the Union 2 and help them make some history. First ever home game. It's exciting, and I think it's a great testament to what's building in the pipeline for the future of the Union, that you have some talent, 14, 15, 16 years old. These guys are kids, I should say, are making some noise and doing a good job, and now have locked in themselves a playoff spot.
Yeah, I love to see it. It's important, right? Like, you want success down at the MLS Next Pro level, because these are players that you are hoping, and I know everyone's tired of hearing the homegrowns from the fan base, but unfortunately, this is how we're going to build the crux of the squad, right? You want to get those kids, find as many of those kids you can from the Union 2, from the homegrown system, bring them up here, have them being the integral part of your team, and being able to plug away the other pieces with the transfer market. But I mean, you obviously look, I make the joke, but like, obviously, Marcus Anderson, where you been, bro? But like, you've been balling in Union 2. That's where you've been. Okay. Obviously, everyone's always excited to see Quinn Sullivan, and here he is balling out. It's funny too, because he got in the match on Sunday a little bit. He did. Quinn.
Almost got one.
Do love seeing those two together, Quinn.
I know. I'm excited for that.
Yeah, I love seeing a little sibling having success together on the same field or pitch or whatever it may be. No, but there's like some names here, and like, and I'm guilty of this too. Like, we should be watching more of Union 2, because there are some players that, like, you and I have even questioned, like Ganya, like, why is he not getting minutes for the U? Especially like when you got rid of Damian Lowe, you don't have a third center back essentially, so you wonder what's going on with that. So it's really cool to see him. Nick Periano is another player that we kind of forgot about, but he's been killing it at Union 2 as well. So it is cool to see, and with 2 matches left, to be able to clinch it. And Marlon LeBlanc is such a great manager. I always wonder when he's going to get his shot here in the big league. Yeah, because he's done such a great job with those kids. But they have a lot. We have a lot to be proud about with Union 2, and hopefully they make a deep playoff run as well.
Well, my last thing to add, I know we've got to wrap up, is there are some great names to keep an eye on. So 12 players that have played on the Union have also played with the Union 2 this season, and a record 18 members of the Union Academy made the match day roster this season. Now, the offense is actually one of the top it is the highest in the Eastern Conference, the Union 2. 56 goals in 27 matches. They're led by Eddie Davis III, a name to keep an eye on, who's in the Golden Boot race with 13 goals scored. They also have some other talents. Sal Olivas, Leandro Soria to keep an eye on, in addition to the players that we do know. And so they've been scoring some goals, winning some games, and both Union 2 and the senior team are scoring goals and winning games, and hopefully that can continue this weekend.
Got a Jose Riasco site here. Okay. Forgot about Jose. God, it's been a minute. All right. Well, listen, that's going to do it for another edition of PHLY Union Podcast. Hopefully we get 3 points against Atlanta United this upcoming Saturday. Make sure you guys stay tuned for that. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, though, make sure you guys hit the like button, subscribe. For Andrew Frazier behind the glass, Renee Washington, I am JP Zapata. Doop on, Philly. Doop. Talk to you soon.
We all silly like the mayor.